The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
Wrestling to the Max Smackdown Review.
Hello and welcome to the Wrestling to the Max WWE Smackdown Live Review for August 8th, 2017. And I am your host, Sean Garmer, here with me, Mr. Harry Broadhurst.
Evening, Sean.
Always a good evening to talk some SmackDown Live. And this was, after last week's wrestling heavy show, they decided to cut back on that this week and give you more talking and more build up to SummerSlam, which is only about a week and a half away at this point. So they got to get it hot and heavy. And very, very interesting how they are going to go about this here. So they give us highlights of the match that main evented last week. John Cena comes out to talk about what happened last week because, hey, you know what, John Cena, we didn't get that in the opening segment, but that's okay. And, then he just continues to talk about that, but then Baron Corbin interrupts with new music, which we had heard discussed from people being at house shows and saying that his music was new, and that, last week, John Cena got in his business. Now he has the Money in the Bank contract, and Cena should respect him for that. And then John Cena calls Baron Corbin skinny fat. And because we're in Canada, we get a dumpster fire chant because he does get called a loudmouth dumpster fire. Boy, the crowd just absolutely ate this up, and John Cena, of course, really had no option but to just kind of go with it. And yeah, pretty much, Corbin reacts like any kind of petulant child reacts when they get called out. You're not worth my time. Daniel Bryan then shows up and says that it's Baron Corbin and John Cena at SummerSlam, as if we couldn't tell already. But hey, now it's official.
All right, so the big takeaway for this segment for me is, what do you think of Corbin's new music?
It's all right. I kind of liked his original music better.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I like the old theme song more. Nothing we haven't seen before in this segment here. Nothing we won't see again a million times throughout the rest of the course of the year with Cena and insert name here, and or AJ and insert name here, or on Raw, Roman and insert name here. So, I mean, nothing groundbreaking as far as what was said, what was done, or anything. But my big takeaway for this entire segment is that I don't like Corbin's new music.
Wow, that tells you everything about how much this segment really meant anything to you at all.
If you watched SmackDown and then saw the recap video this week, it was clear as day that it was going to be Corbin and Cena at SummerSlam. Once Cena put Corbin through the announce table in order to help out Shinsuke last week on SmackDown on the network exclusive wrap-up, which is still on the network homepage, by the way. I don't know if you know that or not. The post, SmackDown 937 post show. It's right on the where they usually advertise something right above continue watching on the network homepage. It's right there. So obviously they want people to see it.
Oh, well, definitely. They definitely do. But hey, I'm sure they will. Just, I really wonder how many people, if it wasn't for the network, how many people really go to that website for things. But anyway, moving on from this segment that kind of was already, we knew where this was going, but I guess we have it now. officially made. We get the Usos in a match with fellow Canadians, Sami Zayn, and a Ty Dillinger sighting. Stop the World, the Perfect 10 is on SmackDown.
Jobbing.
This was a solid tag match. Dillinger got in a lot, which I enjoyed, but he also tapped out to the Tequila Sunrise, which kind of sucks. But hey, you know what? If they don't really have any plans for Sami Zayn or Ty Dillinger, put them together in a tag team. Why not?
Well, first of all, before I expand any further on my thoughts on this contest, I want to give credit where credit is due. And the Ty Dillinger sighting, he's there to job joke, belongs to W2M Net's Robert Taylor. You can find him on his MMA to the Max podcast here on the W2M network. As far as the match goes, thoroughly entertained by the match, and the post-match was really well done as well. So let's go ahead and talk about the post-match too, because it's very relevant here.
Yeah, the Usos promised to win back the tag titles. Big E shows up with music, and he's coming out. Looks like he's going to do his whole shtick. And then Kofi and Xavier Woods jumped him from behind, beating him up, taking the shirts off. They bring in chairs and whoop him. And hey, you know what? Sometimes when you're dealing with some dirty guys, you got to get a little down and dirty yourself and get out of character. And that's what they did. They got them out of character, and now the Usos got to deal with some angry guys.
I don't necessarily know that it was out of character. I would say it's more of the New Day stepping up the aggression in order to balance what had happened to them.
Right, but that's not who they are, though. They're very positive thinking. They're usually, just easygoing guys, making jokes.
Yes. Granted, but when you get your ass handed to you on the ramp like they did 2 weeks ago, they're out for vengeance right now. It made sense that they didn't come out all happy-go-lucky. They're like,
it didn't, but it forced them to have to get out of their normal situation, out of the normal way that they act, and become more aggressive.
Yeah, they were ready to F someone up tonight, and it looked really cool. I thought that this side of the New Day is something that we haven't seen before, and I thought it was really well done.
Yeah, and I think it matches that whole, the Usos are kind of thug guys. So, you got to get a little thug with them with the New Day, and I like that. That was really interesting and really fun to see from these guys. So,
I also want to give the Usos credit. Unlike Corbin, their new music is an upgrade.
Yeah, it's them rapping over their music. That's good. We know Jimmy's got some chops there, and Jay as well, so nice to see from these guys, honestly. I like that they're... I know some people don't like it, though. There's quite a few people that I've heard that aren't big fans of it.
Yeah, well, better than Corbin's.
Oh, yeah, when you're comparing the two. Totally true on that.
That'll be the next trending thing on W2Mnet.com. # better than Corbin's.
There's so many things that can go into that.
Well, speaking of which, we'll have the more thorough plug for this a little bit later on. But coming, I do believe, around this time next week, we're going to be starting to get into our SummerSlam previews and stuff too over on W2Mnet.com. Yeah,
we should be.
This podcast is also presented in association with 411mania.com as well.
Yeah. We are, which you can go find on 411mania at some point tomorrow, whenever Larry gets to actually posting it. But, yeah. Sometimes they aren't always... Hey, they got a lot of stuff to post over there on 411, so if they forget about us, kind of understand sometimes.
Indeed. No worries.
But anyway, we've got... Moving on from here, like I said, this wasn't a match-heavy show, and with the matches that were here were rather on the short end. So, hey, one of the more promoted things from last week, the Fashion Files featuring, of course, Twin Peaks. And it helps when you're talking about a show that's very relevant right now, They air on Sundays. They're on a return. They still have 5 episodes left. And last week's was very focused on the first couple of seasons, the first run of the show. This one takes a lot of references from the current run of the show that's going on right now. And it's really fun to see. Again, they nail it on the intro, taking sort of a little version of the song, putting in some stuff from that intro, and then having Tyler Breeze come in, and they make the wall has references to Dougie Jones, the long-haired Dougie Jones, of course, another version of the Agent Dale Cooper. You have references to other David Lynch movies in The Elephant Man and Lost Highway. So kudos to them on that. And then you also have the pie reference. That's a big deal in Twin Peaks. And, of course, the joke that Tyler Breeze makes whenever a version of Fandango appears is the joke that's going on in this current season with Agent Dale Cooper being a different person and he can't really talk. And so the joke of the whole, we got to wait 18 episodes so you're back to normal. But they speed that up with the cup of coffee, which is the one thing that sort of makes Agent Dale Cooper sort of be back to himself sometimes when he drinks it. And of course the donuts are always around in Twin Peaks as well. And I love the Ascension being in this too, being there. Oh, we're only here for the pie. That's good. That was funny for me. But look, they keep nailing it. I don't know if this is going to trend just like the first one, but I loved all the references, and this was really funny.
I want to talk about the wrestling specific reference at the tail end because I was dying. Are we not going to discuss Arn Anderson here?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. The Arn Anderson. I love the fact that he just he didn't even no-sell it or whatever. He just kind of waits there. He denies it at first that it's like Tully. I thought I was waiting for him to be like, oh yeah, I woofed up on Tully Blanchard a couple of times, and they have to go, no, Tully the stuffed bear. And he's like, you're damn right it was me. You should have named it Arn.
Everyone knows I was the focal point of that group.
Yes, I love that. This is so random, but it was so funny because it's like, oh yeah, Arn Anderson does work as a agent producer for WWE, and he's there, and they haven't come in for that. That's great.
Not to mention not only the fact that he's there and they worked him into it, the fact that they even worked in having the ability to reference something that old school fans didn't even know was a reference when it happened. I never put Tully and Horse together.
Yeah.
And then as soon as Arn Anderson walks in, I'm like, son of a bitch, Tully Blanchard. That's funny.
If only Flair would have been able to show up just randomly. That would have been somehow even better. That Canada crowd felt like they were waiting for that. But hey, they got another Flair in Charlotte Flair having a match with Lana in which, Lana is not good. So Charlotte disposes of her in about 2 minutes, as you would expect. Figure 8, Lana taps out. And yeah.
All right, I want the record to show that Lana is actually getting better. And her facial expressions throughout the course of this match were really good.
Well, she's an actress. Come on. If you can't get that down and you've been in actual movies that make money like Pitch Perfect and Pitch Perfect 2, I mean, come on now.
Yeah, but that ass doesn't hurt either.
No, but again, the whole point is your ass is not acting here. It's you, and it just
I still think the best is yet to come for Lana. I don't think we've seen her best yet. I think that much the same way that Eva was getting better before her and the WWE parted ways, I think Lana's going to have room to improve. And I feel like they're kind of moving Lana into the role that was meant for Eva Marie, and you just have to give Lana time to develop into that character.
Oh, well, certainly. I think she still has kind of her own thing, though, and they need to stop trying to make her a heel because she's not. People want to cheer her.
Yeah, but also at the same time, they turned her babyface a couple of years back, and they didn't do crap with her.
Gotta love when my phone turns on things. Yeah, my phone apparently was trying to play one of my kids' my daughter's TV shows for some reason. And
shout out to Anaya. Real quick, what I was saying though was that they tried to turn her babyface a couple of years back with the whole Ziggler thing, and it fell flat on its face. So I think you kind of have to just stay the course with her.
I know, but that's different though. They were trying to have us believe that all of a sudden she was leaving Rusev, even though there was already thoughts out there that she was getting engaged and all this whatever. And it was kind of like, come on, just stop. And they weren't, and it was a terrible. They were doing a terrible job of convincing you too. So it's like, just why are we pushing something that just doesn't work? And yeah, I think if you go on.
His name is Roman Reigns. Sorry,
touche, sir. Touche. Even though he has proven that he does work.
First. Yeah, in the ring, sure. On the microphone, not so much. Sorry, first thought that popped in my head when you said that.
That was a good one, though. I like it.
No, I agree with you in the fact that the storyline that they had with Lana didn't work with her and Ziggler, but at the same time, though, once they did turn her babyface, though, the fans' reactions to her actually lessened rather than improving. I think in some small sense, fans actually like rebelling by cheering for her, if that makes sense.
Oh, well, yeah, they like rebelling, period.
Granted.
But, it's just... I think with Lana, it's more like, as a face, what does she have? And as a face, I don't know that you can really... at some point, like, because on Total Divas she doesn't do the accent, you could get away with the fact of... If they do turn her face completely, of having her just get rid of the accent, and that way you might get fans to cheer her, because that might be part of it. Of they don't want to be cheering a person that's, as a face that's doing the Russian accent and everything.
I guess I could see that as an excuse.
Well, they could have gotten away with it with Ziggler, because they could have been saying that he was teaching her English and, all this other stuff, but they never went down that road because it kind of died before they really could have gone anywhere with it. But
because Lana broke character on Instagram, I think it was.
Yeah, I was on Twitter with the whole her and Russo getting married, because she didn't really. I think she didn't want to be in that storyline in the first place. She kind of sabotaged it.
Well, in fairness, most people on the roster don't want to work with Dolph Ziggler anymore either. Where has he been?
Well, you just said it. He's probably doing some kind of comedy thing or whatever at this point. I feel like he really got hurt by not having Talking Smack, because he just kind of randomly appear on there sometimes and cut a good promo.
Maybe his contract expired like Nakamura said it was about to.
I doubt it. WWE's legal team is pretty good about that stuff. But hey, we can all dream, right, that he can go somewhere else and do well.
And new TFW heavyweight, course of habit. Moving on.
You probably wouldn't be wrong at all there. So, anyway, we have Shane, of course, coming out here as this is part, I think, where I had to go to the bathroom, so I don't really remember a lot of this.
Shane comes out and Shane comes out, and it's basically him moderating the announcement that they're going to be setting up the U.S. title rematch, and him trying to clear the air with both AJ and Kevin Owens.
I love the fact that they used footage from 1998 here to have Shane screwing over Stone Cold against Mankind for that match. Go ahead.
I will admit I was moderately disappointed that the double birds were pixelated, however. I understand why they were pixelated, but a little part of my childhood died inside when it happened.
Yeah, that sucks, but hey, PG, right?
No, I think this is something that longtime fans have been calling for a while now. You have this massive resource for people to go back and watch a ton of stuff with. And you're not doing enough to promote the actual content that they can find on there. Well, lo and behold, they actually use it to promote the content that you can go on there. Hey, by the way, Shane was a special guest referee back at Survivor Series in 1998. Here's the footage. Here's him screwing over Steve Austin. What makes us think that he's going to be unbiased now? It's perfect. To a longtime wrestling fan such as myself, to somebody who definitely follows the history of the sport and the business and where it's come and where it's going and everything like that, this is the kind of stuff that they need to be doing more of with the network at their disposal.
Yeah, if you show more old stuff with the network, you might get people going, oh man, I want to watch that now. Like, think about that, WWE. Find organic ways to use your history like you did for the, Charles Robinson skit and all that stuff. Like, I get it that there's not always a way to tie in history, but anytime you can go back to that network without having to do a horrible shill for it on your television and actually use the footage as the shill, I think people will appreciate that a heck of a lot more.
I guarantee you Survivor Series 1998 ends up in the most watched for this week for the WWE Network when it comes out.
Let's see about that. I don't know about it being above, NXT or any other kind of new thing.
Not number one or anything, but I guarantee when they release their top 20 most viewed shows on the network, because they usually do that every week. I guarantee you Survivor Series 1998 ends up in there because of this particular episode of SmackDown.
I'd love to see it, just because that shows that when they do have things appear on the network, or on TV from the network, people actually go and watch it. So, let's think positively here. As Shane then discusses about everybody having a history, Styles noted that Owens wasn't pinned last week and says really they can get rid of Shane and just do it right here for the title. But Owen wants to win. Owens, even though he's Canadian, wants to win the title in a U.S. city, in a city that even matters. That's
okay. That works on multiple levels, though, because that's Kevin being a dick and wanting to stick it to the U.S. fans by winning their U.S. title in an American city. And it's him being a dick sticking it to his Canadian fans by telling those fans in Toronto, oh, you're not worthy of seeing me and AJ wrestle for the U.S. title tonight.
Hey, yeah, why not? I mean, I love this. I love it when you can just stick it to not only the crowd you're in, but to the people watching at home, too.
Yeah, that's just Kevin Owens' master heel is what that is right there.
Hey, that's why he gets paid the big bucks, and not only that, is probably one of the best heels in the entire company. So
yeah,
his doesn't sound like a total just horrible WWE maybe say this thing. His sounds organic.
So stick it, Cornette, anyway.
Yep, he does it every freaking week, Cornette. I wonder if he ever rues the day saying these things. Of course, he tries to deny it, but yeah. Do what you got to do, Jim Cornette. AJ Styles also Pele kicks Shane on accident, and this, of course, makes Kevin Owens smile. And I forgot to mention that Lana and Tamina have been having sort of discussions backstage. Lana had told her that she wants to wrestle Charlotte because she kind of sort of idolizes her and how great of a wrestler she is. And what does she say exactly? That if it makes her... I don't remember the exact words, but...
Tamina, the line at the end of the promo is the reason that Lana got the title, and actually I think this happens a little bit later on in the show, but since we're bringing it up right now, Tamina says to Lana, you know what got you those three straight title opportunities? It was your ambition. And now I want you to teach me to have that same kind of ambition as well. Because Lana points out the fact that Tamina will never be as ravishing as Lana is. Tamina points out the fact that Lana will never be as good of a wrestler as Tamina is, which is frankly laughable, but that's neither here nor there.
That's just pot calling the kettle there.
Yeah, I would argue that Lana might be as good as Tamina already.
Come on, Tamina can't even do her dad's splash. Like, God's sake.
For the sake of this conversation, we'll go with it.
That's what it was. It was the whole Did that make you feel more ravishing going out there and wrestling Charlotte and then losing in about 2 minutes? Pretty much. Because
Lana called Charlotte out on Twitter by saying that she may not be genetically superior, or there was another line that she used that Charlotte used as well. But she'd rather be ravishing than being genetically superior any day of the week, or something along those lines.
Nice. Well, Lana, I guess you can't take the ravishing away from her, but Charlotte can then make fun of her on Twitter, saying that win was simply ravishing as well. I wonder if Rick Rude enjoys that Lana basically took his line.
Well, frankly, what Rick Rude would like for is all of us fat, out of shape podcasters to keep the noise down and continue on with the SmackDown review.
Of course, but sometimes we have to go off topic. So, speaking of here, we do have the Naomi and Carmella match that was made for the show. This really was sort of just here so that you could have James Ellsworth show up and bringing him back into the picture and helping Carmella win with a sort of super kick, which I guess sets up Carmella getting a title shot down the line. And, of course, they're backstage. Natalya shows up. And Natalya pretty much, saying, hey, look, I don't want to see you guys anywhere near my match at SummerSlam. This probably just means that they're going to show up in their match at SummerSlam. But, hey. Right?
I don't think so. I think that if anybody ends up cashing in at SummerSlam, I think it ends up being excuse me, it'll end up being Corbin rather than Carmella.
But she doesn't have to cash in, though. She's already done this before where she's shown up to a match and doesn't cash in.
Yeah, but then you run the risk of doing it too many times and oversaturating the gimmick as well.
Right, but I think it's been a while since we've really seen her doing that. We've seen her, sort of intimidate Naomi, tell her that, look, remember, I'm here. But not where she kind of gets involved in a match where she's going to act like she's going to cash in or something and then does it.
I just want to see Natalya and Naomi have a really good match at SummerSlam.
I do too. I mean, they can still have the match and then she shows up right towards the end.
I don't trust creative to let that happen, though. That's my problem. I think my problem is I am so jaded, I guess you could say, by their constant ability to find new ways to screw up finishes.
Yeah, it seems like this happens like every pay-per-view. How do we screw this up more?
We talked about this on the original episode of SmackDown review that I did with you, the one that was right after the last pay-per-view for SmackDown, and we talked about the fact that SmackDown nails their TV episodes, but their pay-per-view offerings have been severely lackluster. I think if you let Naomi and Natalya go out there and just have a 10-minute match on SummerSlam, that those are two women that are capable, Natalya specifically, because It is no secret I am a big fan of Natalya. I kind of tolerate Naomi. I'm not a big fan or anything, but I don't dislike her either like I do with certain other people on the roster. Tamina, Nia, regardless. If you give them 10 minutes to go out there and do their thing on next Sunday, I think that they'll be able to do more than a serviceable job to put in a good performance for the women's division.
Oh, you aren't wrong at all. If you give them time, they're going to go out there and put on a show. I think they'll get that time, just especially with the wrench put into the Raw Women's title plans. Just, it depends on what they want to do. I still have a feeling that Baron Corbin, it isn't a guarantee that he doesn't go in and lose.
What are you saying? They Sandow him?
Yeah.
I mean,
I just don't think you should be. If Shinsuke wins the title and then you have him lose the title like that, I think that's not good for him. Either have him beat Jinder, which they have history with each other, Jinder and Baron Corbin, so you could have him beat Jinder.
I agree. At the same time, I think that. I don't know if I see Jinder beating Nakamura though. And
but they could have Corbin come down and cause a distraction.
The only way that would work out is if he's distracting Nakamura, and the main reason I say that is because I have absolutely no interest in a Nakamura-Corbin feud for the title because their pay-per-view matches that they had were super lackluster. Granted, the match on SmackDown was better, but the pay-per-view match they had was the drizzling poos, frankly.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt you're right on that, but I'm just saying it doesn't mean that they have to continue to have a match for the title. I think that you could have Jinder win because Baron Corbin comes down, and then Baron Corbin thinks so little of Jinder that he goes ahead and cashes in anyway. But then Nakamura comes in and makes him lose. I mean, I'm not saying it goes down exactly that way.
Well, I think a lot of this will depend on how Corbin comes out of the match with Cena at SummerSlam as well.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, they could change all that right then and there, whatever they decide to do. So, all right. So I think the only thing we have left is Nakamura. I think this promo was over a video, correct? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it was a pre-recorded interview with Renee Young.
Yeah, and he talks about wanting to come to WWE and competing and how much he's done, how much he did in NXT, and how he's done in SmackDown, and then beating John Cena. And it was amazing to be in the ring with him, and his destiny is to win the WWE title and have a dynasty with that title. So, I mean, hey, Nakamura dynasty, go for it. Got no problem with that.
My expectations for for Nakamura and Mahal are not very high, but at the same time, I could be surprised. I mean, truth be told, we've seen Shinsuke kind of underperform against people that are WWE products. By which I mean his best matches were against people in NXT, in Sami Zayn, who is obviously a product of the Indies, as El Generico.
I don't think he underperformed with Cena, though.
Well, okay, that's fair. The Cena would be the exception here, but you have to admit that the match against the pay-per-view match against Ziggler was kind of an underperformance, and the two matches
but the one on SmackDown was good, though.
I agree with that, and then the two matches against Corbin were kind of disappointments as well. Granted, the one on SmackDown against Corbin was better as well, but nothing about his pay-per-view resume in the WWE so far has stood out to me, and I don't think that Jinder Mahal is the opponent that's going to change that.
No, Jinder Mahal is not that opponent. I would be surprised if they have a passable match, just because, like you said, Nakamura has he tends to sort of take the night off when he isn't motivated, and maybe he's motivated if, say, he knows he's winning the title and he's keeping it, but we'll see. It's just, Mahal doesn't get the best out of anybody, really. And case in point, this main event. Just to get through this so we can go back to that point. Hold on.
Well, okay, yeah, go ahead and talk about this match here, because I don't know if I agree with you about Mahal getting good matches out of people, because I disagree, and I'll talk about that.
He doesn't get good matches out of people. I
disagree. The first two Orton matches were really good in my opinion.
No, they were not really good. They were good because freaking the Sings were jumping around, freaking killing themselves. The match part of those matches were not good. They were kind of meandering.
I think it's an overall sum of the product, though. You can't just not factor in the contributions of the two Singh brothers.
But the Singh brothers are two different things compared to what's happening in the match between Mahal and Orton. I feel like they kind of meandered, then the Singhs would get involved, and they had a decent closing stretch or whatever. But it's just nothing that was like, oh my God, let me go crazy about what happened with this match.
All right, let's talk about the SmackDown main event, and then I have a question to pose to you that we can debate at the end of this episode review.
Sure. We have Nakamura, of course, watching backstage, as you'd expect. He needs to scout Mahal. Again, I thought this was fine. You have Orton. I love the way that he hit the RKO out of Mahal, trying to hit the callus. I don't think this is a good idea for your champion to be losing.
That was my big
title match, but okay.
That was my big pet peeve about this match here. I don't think Mahal should have lost this match. If you want to do some kind of schmoz finish where it ends in like a double countout and then Orton lays out Mahal with the RKO after the match,
the thing I will say is what it's trying to show is that Mahal can't win without the Singh brothers being around.
I can kind of see that, if that being the point that they're telling, but at the same time, though, you're having Mahal look inferior to Orton, who's basically a third-level tier right now behind Nakamura and Cena, and he's going into a match against a guy who just beat the face of the place, all due respect to AJ Styles, in John Cena the week prior. You're making look like Mahal has no chance in hell at SummerSlam, which is kind of telegraphing that Mahal is retaining.
But this is just bad in that, why are we having Randy Orton get his win back when the feud's over?
To paraphrase an old line from a different show, Orton must pose. Sorry.
Well, he wasn't posing for long because he was making his way up the ramp and Rusev just whacked him to end the show.
I sincerely hope they put Rusev over at SummerSlam. I don't think they will, but I sincerely hope they do, because I feel like Rusev is one of those guys who has never gotten his just due in this company, and he is somebody that could be a very strong upper mid-card to main event level heel on SmackDown.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
All right. So, that's SmackDown. So let me ask you my question before we wrap this up and get out of here and go do 205 Live.
Yeah, go ahead.
In regards to the Orton and Mahal series, would you rather they have a great match with a crap finish, which is kind of what we see on a regular basis on SmackDown pay-per-views, or would you rather they have what they did do, which was an okay match with a very strong and memorable closing finish?
I think neither one of those is a good option. Why can't you have a great match with a great finish?
Because clearly the creative company and the creative portion of this company is not capable of that on a consistent basis. Hence why
I'm not here expecting that Jinder Mahal is going to have a great match with anybody. That's just who he is. He isn't a great wrestler. And Randy Orton is, again, very much like Shinsuke and some other guys, and where if he is not motivated to go out there and have this tremendous match, he's not going to.
Agreed.
this was kind of one of those where, like, I think he knew he was having a job to a guy that maybe he doesn't like. I feel like that promo that he does on top of the Punjabi prison kind of tells you a lot about what he feels about this feud, where I feel like he kind of ad-libbed the jacked up ass line and everything else. He's probably not a big fan of Jinder getting the push he's getting because of his body and everything else, So
Not to mention, Orton's not exactly been the most consistent performer in the company now for quite some time as well.
No, he hadn't. He's had the stuff with Wyatt wasn't particularly good in ring.
That was a dumpster fire. Yeah. That Canada was a dumpster fire.
So Randy Orton's just kind of continuing that there. So. All right, that'll do it for us talking SmackDown. The only thing we got to do now is give it a rating. I feel like this was kind of a ho-hum edition of SmackDown.
Yeah, I'd probably put tonight's SmackDown right on par with Monday Night Raw, right around a 6. Nothing.
I'd say a 5, honestly, for me.
Nothing blow away on this SmackDown. No great matches. Raw this week gets the advantage to me because it had 2 really good matches in the Last Man Standing match, that main evented Raw, and the Cesaro versus Ambrose match in the undercard.
Yeah, true.
So I would definitely give this week between the 2 shows to Monday Night Raw, but at the same time, I don't think SmackDown was actively bad either. So, and I did really enjoy the AJ Styles, Kevin Owens, Shane McMahon triangle promo as well. I thought that was very well done, and I like the fact that, as you said, they're using some of their history organically in order to remind people, hey, look at all this cool you can watch on the network.
Yeah, and people should watch more of that stuff on the network if you want more of the old stuff to get in there. They still haven't put up the wrestling challenges and old superstars and none of that, so it'd be nice to have those.
I want Thunder.
Yeah, Thunder, the WCW Saturday Night.
Oh, I'd pop like a little kid for Saturday night because I'm making my way through the 1993 timeline right now. I would go back and watch all the 1993 Saturday nights in order to catch up Saturday night with where I'm at on Raw.
Kudos to you. I tried to do that a couple of times. I was like, maybe if you probably watch less wrestling than we do, so that perhaps might help you. But
I don't necessarily know if that's true. Because you guys watch a lot of the international products. I watch a lot of domestic stuff too. I watch Lucha Underground every week. I watch NXT every week.
We watch Lucha Underground and NXT. So
the only thing you have over me right now is you guys are kind of binge watching through the G1 climax, which I understand there's a review coming up for the newest episodes of the G1. Correct?
We're just kind of doing an overview because Paul was gone, and so. We're doing an overview and then previewing the last 3 nights. But, all right, so you got our ratings, and therefore we are done with this episode of Talking SmackDown here. Hopefully you enjoyed it. You hit that subscribe button, and if you liked us that much, you can go subscribe to W2M Network as well, where you get Harry and Patrick doing Wrestling Unwrapped, 2 episodes out there for you so far. You got the PWG DDT4 from 2015 and ECW Heatwave 1998. So, any more coming up?
Road Wild 1998 to come sometime. Patrick and I are talking about recording it tomorrow night after he finishes his Going Broadway on WLGKradio.com. But the plan is to do WCW Road Wild 1998 before I head on my mini vacation. I'll keep you guys updated as far as whether or not we're able to get that out. If not, we'll try to release that closer to when we do the Highway to Hell SummerSlam towards the end of the month, SummerSlam 1998.
Sweet. So, all right. Well, make sure you check out all of our other W2M stuff. Paul and Gary did the Raw review. Of course, we're about to do the 205 Live review, and we also have our 250 episode 259 part 1 where we talked about the Scott Dawson injury, Eva Marie being released. Paul and Gary did an ROH TV review, 2 of them in fact, and there was a few other things in there as well. So
my thoughts and condolences go out to Thomas Grimm on the release of Eva Marie.
Yes, definitely. I feel bad for him, but hey, now he's kind of become a fan of the Young Bucks, so go ahead.
Out with the Eva, in with the new Young, I guess.
Nice. So, all right, until we're back talking more SmackDown, we'll see you later, everybody.
The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.